Show on the road here. My name is Jeff Marcinkowski. I'm Township Supervisor. Been in at it for a couple of years now. I've got some good history with the Township. Been in here for about 41 years and seen a lot of growth, a lot of good things. I've been a trustee on the parks. I've been on the ZBA and planning. And so I thought after I retired from Grand Valley State University, I have an opportunity to serve again to the township and took the supervisor spot. Ran unopposed. So if any of you feel that inner need to be able to run for supervisor, you'll have that opportunity in 2024, November. So keep that in mind. Anyway, we're here tonight to have a public input meeting for what we're trying to do out at the Duck Creek Natural Area. Duck Creek Natural Area is about 310 acres of property that the township acquired back in the 90s. So it's sat there for 30 some odd years already, with virtually no improvements done to it at all. And Dave is going to explain exactly what we're looking to do, what we would like to do. And in order to do that, one of the requirements that we have to have for this DNR trust fund grant is we have to have a public input meeting. We're recording it, there'll be minutes, you'll have an opportunity to speak for or against it, and all those comments go to the DNR. Okay? The trust fund grant isn't, it's reviewed by the DNR, but the state approves that. Am I correct with that, Dave? The state approves the grant, right? Isn't there the governor signs off on that?
The state legislature.
State legislature signs off on it. So the DNR looks at them and passes it up to the legislature to approve. So that's what we're here for tonight, to get those comments, to get that input, to get that stuff that we can send to the DNR as part of the application. As you walked in, of course, restrooms are right out there in the breezeway area, the vestibule, a couple of snacks out there, some really, really good coffee over there. So if you're interested in that, and then there's fresh water, filtered water at the table. So with that, I think that I'm all set, and I'm going to turn it over to you, Dave.
Thank you.
All right.
First of all, I'm going to start off with talking about why trails. And Michigan has they call it SCORE, State Comprehensive Outdoor Recreation Program. And they listed a whole bunch of things that people have spent, that surveys out to put in there. And you can see here that relaxing outdoors and walking outdoors, including dog walking, are both up in the 70% category. So they're very, very frequent usage, and people do that quite often in here. So we're thinking the need is there, and I happen to think the need is there too. So, we'll talk a little bit about who I'm part of a group called the Friends of Fruitland Township Trails. We're a volunteer group. We're a 501c3 finally. We had a little trouble getting the IRS to come to terms with that in here. They're busy working at home or something like that. I don't know. But anyhow, they finally gave us our 501c3 status. But our task in here, what it is we would like to see more trails within the Fruitland Township in here. When I'm talking about trails, I'm not talking about just the natural area that we're speaking of tonight in here. I'm talking about trails in general for the whole entire township. There are trails, and I'll speak to that a little bit later, but there's more room, there's plenty of space in here where we could improve those trails in here. That's a long-term goal of what we want to do there. Basically, if you can see the drawing, and you down the bottom right, you see the Berry Junction Trail, the Fred Leonard Berry Junction Trail. What we'd like to see is a network of trails that connects that to our beautiful Lake Michigan over there. We've been doing a number of events just to get people aware of one of who we are, also what's out there. On the left, you see 3 different slides there that are of events that we have hosted out in the natural area In the center up there is the Valentine or St. Patrick's Day one in there. That was actually in Anderson Woods, which is also within our township in here. And basically, we've had 2 events in the winter. We just had one last Saturday. We had 27 people show up for that in here. Got a chance to walk around and see what we've done on the trails and how things are going in there. Last summer, we had a neighbor of he's right next to the fire station there, but he went through and he talked a little bit about the history, so the people that showed up got a little history because he's a lifelong resident. He's in his late 70s, nice old guy in here that, when I say old guy, he's about my age, so but anyhow, he has a lot of history, lifelong in here, and we enjoyed having him, and the people there got some good information on that. We also did over on the off of Seminole, we did a Groundhog Day event over there several years ago in there, and had a lot of kids, and when you offer hot chocolate and stuff like that in here, they tend to see appreciate it at the end of the trail in there. On the far right over there, you'll see we've had 2 work sessions. We've had a couple. I just put up 2 slides in there. We get volunteers to come out and actually work on the trails, improve the trails, clean them out in here. Things happen, leaves come down in here, branches come down in here, and we've also wanted to improve it. So this year we were very intent on improving the signage out there. We want people, when they leave the parking lot, we want them to feel kind of comfortable that when they know where they're going, they'll be able to get back to the parking lot without calling fire department or 911 or something like that. We have an email, fruitlandtrails@gmail.com. If you got any questions or if you want to help, I got a volunteer sign-up sheet in here. If you'd like to join in on us in here like that in here, sign your name up here, and we'll keep you busy in here like that in here. We also did a lot of work on the trails this year. Far as signage, people can know like I said, they're going in there. The trees are painted with slashes on there of blue, orange, or whatever trail it is on there like that, so people know they can feel comfortable that they're in an area where they're going to be safe and be able to get back out, no problem in there. We're also on Facebook page, Fruitland Trails in there, so if you're on Facebook, you can follow us on there and learn a little bit more about in that case in there. So. Talking about just trails in general, and the top right there is Anderson Woods I spoke of a little bit. That's on Seminole Road between Duck Lake and Bard, in case you're not familiar with it. It's about 75 acres, and there's actually 2 tracks in there. From the parking lot, you start off with an ADA compliant trail. It's a fine limestone trail in here that is ADA compliant. Wheelchairs and people with accessibility issues can use that trail. There's also an outer loop in here that's more of a natural surface trail that can also be used in there. Down across the bottom in there, you've got Duck Lake State Park. You can see on the bottom right there is a trail. It's not very marked in here, but the trails are there, and you can use them. You can wander around through there. It's a beautiful area in there. On the bottom left, you've got the boardwalk that goes from the park, the Duck Lake State Park, goes out to the lake, and there that boardwalk goes under the bridge, under the scenic road in there, and out to the water in there. And then in the middle is those beautiful stairs that go up, and if you have never gone up those stairs, it's a beautiful scene when you get out to the top of the bluff, looking out over Lake Michigan in there like that. Awesome sunset place in there. Up in the top, there is Duck Creek Natural Area, and this is a typical 2-track back in there. We'll talk about a little bit about the lumbering days and so forth in there. But this is 2 tracks that are still in play in there, and actually we have used those 2 tracks in order to make these trails that are out there existing today like that. So, we've also, we have monthly meetings in there. We've also talked about bike paths as well as paths that could be in play in this area. And I don't know how well you'll be able to see that on this screen in here, but right across through the middle is Michelinda Road. And Muskegon County Road Commission determines that is a bike path, like that, because of the wide shoulders in there. They're about 6 foot wide. The thing is for a hardcore biker or something like that, it's fine in there like that because they're used to it. But for a family with little ones wanting to bike on there like that in there, that's something I don't recommend. So we do not have a good bike path in Fruitland Township yet, like that. Now, down on the bottom left in there, you'll see a scenic road bike path. That's a possibility in here. Matter of fact, Fruitland Township, the board has got a grant committee that is working with Lakeland Township in there, trying to work with the road commission, I think it is, and trying to get a grant in order to expand the width of the shoulders on the scenic road and like that in there. They're working on that. Got to go a long way to go. Got to get money and all that stuff in there like that. Doesn't happen in there. But basically, what it is it's going to start from the initial phase is starting at Duck Lake Road, going south down to Fenner Road, going down to Fenner Road in there. So you can take off of Duck Lake Road, get down to Fenner, get your ice cream, get back on the bike, and head back north in there or something like that in there. So in there. Other trail in there like that. Talk about Anderson Woods down at the bottom of the screen in there. We talked about possibly about a barred road bike path going out. That does not, I mean, the road conditions and everything doesn't bode well for that, so that's something that really isn't going to get much traction in there. However, going north out of Anderson Woods, Seminelli is dirt road at that point. Going north, it's dirt up to Duck Lake Road. From actually, it's all the way up to Riley Thompson, where Riley Thompson and Seminelli connect. It's dirt all the way up through there. You'd have some easement issues to address and so forth in there if you were to build a path up through there. Then from north of Michelanda, you got dirt road going up to where you get to the Whitehall city limits. And there you can also, there's another connection point for the Berry Junction Trail in there. And then we had talked about, from the natural area, creating a path over to the Nystrom Park here. But there's a gentleman named Jordan who was an absentee resident. He basically has not been responsive in there. He is up in, I think, Sheboygan or something like that. He's not been responsive, so we haven't got anything in there, but we looked at maybe having an access point from the west to the natural area in there to do that. And then right in the middle of the national park where we are out here, give a plug to Bob Murray and his group in here, because next Thursday night there's going to be another public input meeting in here about what they are doing for this area in here. They're planning on doing some major upgrades in here. Again, there's a Michigan Sparks grant, funds are available, and we're going to see what they can do to improve this park in here and get some upgrades. Things like pickleball and stuff like that, which is becoming very, very popular in here. Let's talk about the natural area itself in here. I've got this flown up into 2 different slides in here because this is a landscape in here. But the full, the far wall over there, you see the large map of the photo of the town, of that Duck Creek natural area in here. For those that may or may not be aware, you can see the White Lake Fire Station down at the bottom in there. And basically this smaller piece is coming back from there. There's a parking lot with a great sign in there. Brian didn't show tonight in there, I like that, but Brian Goodman was one of our friends of Fruitland Trails. He donated his time and expertise in creating that sign in here. And I've got lots of good feedback on that sign. People say that sign really pops. He did a great job in there like that. Very happy with that sign. We're very proud of that in here. On the top right in there is the larger portion, and basically you access off of Seminole Road. And there you see Duck Creek and Shoals Creek. Sometimes it's called Todd Creek in there, but most people refer to it as Shoals Creek, depends on which map you look at. But anyhow, they flow together and they move through the Duck Creek Natural Area. Very beautiful area down in the wetlands in there. And there's another little stream that comes in from the north, but I've never seen any tidal or name like that. And it's not very wide, it's a very small stream. It's probably about 3 or 4 feet wide at the most, like that in there. Let's talk about the history a little bit in here. When I start looking around this area, you're talking to people. I've only been out in this township since '96, but there's people that have been here all their lives in here like that. And one of the persons I've talked about showed me this book in here, and I was able to find a copy of that book in here by another township resident, and she gave me this copy in here like that, so I've had a chance to read through that and pick up a lot of history about the Fruitland Township overall. Not much in the way of the actual natural area, because quite frankly, there hasn't been much done in the natural area. Basically, Charles Mears, which is a common name around here, he created this in the 1840s. He created a sawmill on Duck Lake. Well, and the sawmill was at right basically where the bridge at Duck Lake is now. And he basically did the cut, and I'm assuming that the natural area was a big source of all the logging and everything that came down, went to the sawmill, and went to Chicago and other points in like that in here. In the 20s, around the 20s in here, there was a bunch of red pines planted throughout the township, not just in the natural area, but throughout the township in here. And they were, the ones in the township basically were created as well as others as a source of revenue for the township. There's about 45 acres over there off of some of them. And I've not seen any other development. And there's no buildings in here. I got a hold of this, didn't have the paint there, this plat map in here. Excuse me for a minute in here. But this is the Duck Creek Natural Area that's in highlighted in red in here. And you can see some names of people in here, but I've seen nothing where there's actually any buildings that happened on that property in here. And I've walked through it extensively, and I've not seen any remnants or anything open, except for this one, that photo in the center in there. There's 2 old abutments of what used to be bridges across Duck Creek. There's 2 of them in there. One of them is actually falling down now on the north side, but they're that was kind of a neat find when you're walking through, and all of a sudden, what is that? It was a very neat thing to discover in there. And then also in this book, I found a photo in here of a bridge down the bottom right. And if when you leave here tonight, and you turn left and go on north on Eastern Road in here, and you cross over the Duck Lake channel where it shuts, this is what that bridge looked like back in there in 1902. I mean, it's been upgraded a little bit so you can get across there safely. A little bit more on the history. What I've learned is Township Supervisor's name was Dick Kane. He orchestrated a sale, a purchase of about 310 acres of property in the middle of the township to keep it from being developed in here. I mean, you've probably heard the term, you can't grow more land in here like that. So we need to keep some green space for us and for future generations, animals and so forth in there. Like I said, I moved out here in '96, and that top photo in there, that gate, was right east of the fire department and the maintenance building in there. And I always wondered, what the heck's behind that gate? Why is the gate there like that in there? Well, once I would be part of the Fruitland Trails in here, started looking around and started talking to people, I found out, hey, there's 300 acres there back there. And we started talking, go to board meetings, learn a little bit about that, ask questions, do some things like that in here. And lo and behold, there's 310 acres in here, and it's got some potential in here. So we went through that. But back when I started going through there, you can see the center picture. the people that were using the property and like that was hunters, joyriders as far as ATVs, snowmobiles and so forth like that in there. And some of them were doing some damage in there, some of them were being, just having a good time in there like that. And there's also some partiers and stuff like that, which is why the fence across the, at the bottom on Seminole Road, they had some people going in there. Long guns or rifles, they're not permitted in this area like that. And they were doing that, they were target practicing. And I talked to a gentleman named Mr. Kramer who lives across the street on Seminole and said they had problems with gun fire coming towards their house and stuff like that in there. So he said he came to the town hall and talked to current supervisor was Marcinkowski at that time and talked to her about it, and they put a snow fence up there to stop the traffic in there. They had other issues in there, partying, some illegal trapping and so forth in there as well. There are ordinances. 2010, there was an R8 ordinance that talked about hunting and what other things are allowed in there, where you could hunt and what you could do. And in 2019, the R63 ordinance was written and like that of what you could do in the natural area. And there are copies in the back table over there that talk about that ordinance. And also, it is also on the township website. The township website was redone, very nice, very easy to use. Brian Fagan and the company did a very, very good job. And I don't know if I mentioned it, but this presentation is going to be on the that website in there. So if you want to go through this or you want to share it with somebody, it'll be loaded on there as a PDF format, not PowerPoint. But it'll be loaded on there so you can come back and refresh and look at it and share it if you need to. Like that in there. The natural area in here, just some photos I threw in here of basically remnants. I mean, there's that bridge again, one of the bridges, again up in the top left in there. And then just photos of the two-track area. Top right is two-track area in the southern area. There's two-track area on the northeast section over there. And then there's natural surface trail down the bottom right in there. And then there's our beautiful sign right there in the middle for it. Now, what do we want? What are we up to? What do we want to do in here? This is what we want to expand, and this is where we're going for the trust fund grant in here. We want to make it a combination of ADA compliant trails, some natural surface trails, and then we want to connect them with a bridge and boardwalk area, which is we call Area C. Area A is basically off Duck Lake Road, and that is those trails are marked and easy to navigate for somebody walking on foot in like that in here. Somebody with handicap access, wheelchair bound, like our fellow resident here, Mr. Bryan, has joined us tonight. Thank you. And we basically wanted to be able to say, hey, you've got access as well as everybody else does. So we're working on that. And you can see that the blue, the yellow, the red, and the teal colored trails in Area A down the south will all be ADA compliance is the plan. Over on the Seminole side in there, the blue and the yellow will be ADA compliant. The orange trails, the two orange trails in there, will not be ADA compliant. Basically, a couple of different reasons. One is the terrain in there. You're going down into the wetlands. You got a 20 to 30 foot drop in here. Trying to make something that could be work up and down in there is not realistic at this point in time in here. Could it be done? It may possibly be done with a series of switchbacks and stuff like that. But again, there's also, we have a limit on number of dollars in there, so we have to start somewhere, and that's what we're going to do. But the bridge will cross over Duck Creek. We already had it surveyed, and where can we do it, where can we put it, as well as what consists of the bridge would be, and so forth in there. Working with West Shore Engineering, Environmental Engineering, on getting those numbers and get those dimensions and stuff like that. Obviously, we have to get Eagle involved. We've already had our pre-application meeting before we put in the application. Brought Chad Hibshire over and took him out there and showed him what we've got in here. And he said it was very good. He gave some suggestions and said, you might not want to go there. So we were looking at a boardwalk down in the wetlands area, but the amount of boardwalk that he was suggesting that we would need would make that very expensive. So we're going to stay up on the ridge with that orange trail and simply cross over and back, which is what they actually prefer, like that. We're working on that. I'll throw a little thing on the top there. You can see it on there. It says future up there. We would like to do eventually, but again, that's not part of this original plan in there, is we would like to build 2 more bridges, one over Shoals Creek and another bridge down south where after Shoals, the confluence of Shoals Creek and Duck Creek merged and like that, put another bridge down there and work around through the top of the natural area in there. Basically, right now it's landlocked. I mean, you've got property owners on the north side, and you've got the Shoals Creek on the south side in there. People keep them from over there, and this you got your waders on, and you like to wander through there, and or you got the 15-inch boots, and the water's 20 in there. Speaking from experience. But I've been across there, and it's beautiful over there. Would love to add that on. It'll take an extensive boardwalking in there as well. To expand on this a little bit in here, we put 3 posters together, the back in there, and back in there you'll be able to look at it. It shows these details a bit better than what you're seeing on the screen in here of where the trails are going to be, what they're going to look like, what we would like them to look like, and so forth in there. So take a moment to look at that in a little bit in here when we take a break and like that. Let's talk about the harvesting of the pines in there, because we have a Facebook page in the area called Fruitland Township Informed, and there's been some feedback on there, people not liking the idea of the harvesting of the red pines, the thing, and leave it natural, leave it alone. Going to the board meetings, my first inclination when I heard that they were going to log those red pines, my inclination was, I don't want that to happen. But then I started thinking about it, and at the end of the board meeting, when they reopened it back up for public comments, I basically said, I endorse it, I like the idea, because there's 2 lower photos in there. One of them is a stump that's in the red pine area of when they harvested pines back in the 90s in there. And you can see that stump is being reclaimed by Mother Nature in there. And also, if you look at the bottom photo in there, in amongst those big red pines, the oaks, the maples, the beech, and the white pines are coming in and saying, we want our area back, and like that. So when those red pines are harvested out of there, Mother Nature's going to take over and say, okay, it's my turn. Like, I'm going to do it right my way, like that. Anyhow, my second inclination on there is, well, the township is doing that and they're generating revenue from harvesting those pines. They are going to get approximately $25,000. That's their best guess estimate from the logging company right now. And I said, I would like to see those $25,000 be held in reserve for the match, because we have to come up with a match. The DNR just doesn't give you money. It says you got to have some skin in the game too. So basically, that $25,000, the township board agreed and passed. I don't know if it was a resolution or they passed it so that it was agreed that that $25,000 will be held in the dedicated funds for the match in there. DNR trust fund. Let me talk about that a little bit in here, because their objective in here is, like it says, is provide for natural resource protection as well as outdoor recreation. That's what we want in here, like that in here. And if you think about it, we check both marks in that statement in there, like that. And they have a requirement. They get a certain amount of funds each year that they're able to divvy out and like that. 25% of it has to go to development. 25% of it has to go to acquisitions where they're buying land like that. The other 50% depends on what grants come, applications come in. They divvy that up in there. It could be 75-25, it could be 50-50, it could be some other combination in there. Hopefully, when we put our application in there like that, they'll be thinking kindly of it. Anyhow, that box on the left and the white box on there is a timeline in here. We have to have the application in by April 1st. And then they are going to go through and do their due diligence on there. And they're gonna check us out, make sure we got our I's dotted, T's crossed and so forth in there. And then they're gonna do a scoring in there where they're gonna look at this one, they're gonna look at this one, this one, this one, this one. And which ones come flow to the top in here, that's the ones that are gonna get the grants. So there's no guarantee that we're actually gonna get the money in like that. If they don't get the money in here, we try it again in 2024. But, I mean, like, even though we apply in 2023, the funds aren't actually basically given until the state legislature gives the okay, which is typically around the January of 2024 timeframe. So we won't even see any money. None of this is gonna start until 2024, mid-year or something like that in there, like that. But if I have anything to, like that, it'll go, when we get the money in here, we're gonna go. And one thing I've been asked is, well, where's this money come from? It's the state land. There's oil, gas, and mineral leases on state land. Those funds go feed what this DNR trust fund comes. That's where the money comes from. The grant request, minimum is $15,000, maximum is $300,000. I don't have an actual number at this point. I'm still arm wrestling with the construction guys, giving estimates in here. You know how inflation is, and they're having, like, trying to get something in here to what we can put in and what we can't put in the contract in here. And also there's that 25% match that we have to come up with in here. So right now I'm looking at, we're gonna be up around, we're gonna be close to 300,000, if not over, like that. So what I'm looking at now is we've got some funds already committed. Friends of Fruitland Township Trails, Terry Hempel's in here tonight. She was able to secure a grant from the Muskegon County Community Fund. Sorry about that. Anyhow, they gave us $11,800. We put that in trust at the township. They're holding that money in there so that we can be used for building these trails. In that case, in here, we've also given $1,000 of. We do some fundraising when we're doing events and stuff like that in there. People throw in $10, $20 or something like that. Well, we've got $1,000 that we're putting in, what we have now put in there. The $25,000 in there. We're looking for commitments. You'll see a survey letter, support letter in there, and we're looking for commitments of people that are willing to say, hey, I will send you a check, give you a check at that time, whenever you get the grant in here. So we need firm letters of commitments. Yes?
I'd just like to correct a couple of figures of Dave's up there. We have more than 0 in cash donations right now, or in letters pledging support. Possibly.
Well, this is fluid.
Possibly,
This is
very
fluid.
fluid, but possibly.
It's going to change every day, hopefully, because people are going to start writing checks and sending money in there.
$10,000 right now.
Okay. Anyhow, we have a $200 cash donation. We have commitments in here right now of $38,000 and hopefully growing in there. Basically, we need $37,000 plus, what I'm saying, like that. So, if you brought your checkbook in handy, that's okay, that's good. I talked about the support letter, the public input meeting in there. This was posted on in the Beacon twice and there like that in here. It was also out on Fruitland Township and Forum, our Fruitland Trails page. And we even got a good article on MLive today like that in there. So hopefully the word gets out on what's going on in here. And also take a copy of this support letter, like that we're looking for support. One of the things that the DNR is looking for is, does people really want this? That's part of the reason why you're here tonight and They wanna know, we have to hold a public input meeting in here, that's happening tonight. And they also wanna know the comments that are coming out of you, so everybody's gonna speak nice and positively. But basically, we also need letters of support. Okay, the letters of support basically saying that you're in favor of this in here, and so forth and so forth in there. Okay, I'm gonna take about a 5-minute break, and I would like you to go and check out the posters. Steve Valliere from West Shore Engineering is here. That he will look at those prints there that we have drawn up today that show the ADA compliant trails, where they're going to be, some of the characteristics of that. Posters in the back, support letters in the back, and Jeff, he made some great coffee in there, he says, in there. So grab some coffee, water, some snacks out there, and we'll get back together in about 5 minutes, and then it'll be your turn to speak. I'm gonna shut up and listen, and ask that you tell us what you want in here. If you didn't like something you saw and like that, feel free to let us know like that. And if you got something you would like to say on that, or if you got questions, I'll answer them. Jeff will answer them. Whoever, if we got somebody in place, will answer those questions.